So, welcome viewers to another episode of the Live Long podcast. We returned with our inaugural guest, Bostin Loyd, who was so kind to start with us, and one of my favorite guests of all. Welcome, Bostin. Thank you for joining me again.
Thank you for having me again, man. We had fun last time.
We really did. I didn't want to bug you too soon because I know you don't like to go on YouTube too often, but I've been really excited to have you on again. So, a couple of things just to start off. How's your son doing?
How's my what?
How's your son doing, Jackson?
Oh, very good, dude. I love this age. Like, he learns new words like every couple of weeks or some other word he's learning. So he's like he turned 2 in April, so he's what, 25 months or 26 months. So he's at that age where he's catching on quick. It's crazy, man. Kids are really smart, man. Like, at that age, even though they might not be talking to you, they understand everything, they comprehend everything. It's crazy.
When do they start school? At 3? Is it 3 or 4?
I think preschool starts at like 4.
Oh, okay. So you don't have to worry about that for a little
No, yeah, preschool starts at 4.
I've been delaying having kids because people warn me that once you have a kid, you can't like work on any independent projects. You always have some emergency sort of that you have to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on who you're with as your partner. So I'm blessed that Ariel is really good with that. So I have not been selfish like I always was, as a bodybuilder. You have to put some things first now. But if it wasn't for her, man, I wouldn't be even working out probably. Yeah. Like if I was a single dad or something, dude, there's no way I'd be even able to train. No way.
So how you bring this up? So how did people you've talked about on previous podcasts with Dave Palumbo, and also we discussed it a bit last time. But I made this Instagram post asking people if they had questions for you, and one of the questions they were asking was how has having Jackson changed your bodybuilding and your interest in competing? Because we know that you're planning to compete this year.
Yeah. So yeah, we briefly touched on that on the last episode. It hasn't, man. Like, I'm 28, and the only thing that's going to make me change is going to be like the side effects I get, which I have gotten them. And it's like telling a crackhead to stop fucking taking crack. It doesn't happen overnight. It's something that, you have to eventually over time you start, you know what I mean? But like, I can't take the drugs that I used to, man. So, man, like I tell you what, last week I took a shot. I think I took a shot last Monday, and I felt like shit the whole week, and I didn't train. So I didn't take another shot the whole week. So like, you know what I mean? So because I wasn't working out, I feel like I'm not gonna. I don't know. I like to shoot after I work out when the muscles warm. The shots are just so much easier that way. So I just didn't take a shot, but I took a testosterone shot earlier in that week. So it was like 7 days without any shots, but at least I had some tests in me. But yeah, dude, like it hasn't changed me really. Like, I'll be honest with you. Like, a lot of these guys are going to be like, oh, like I, you know what I mean? But dude, I was born into this bodybuilding shit. Like, I'm mental as fuck. I'm not going to change. You know what I mean?
So wait, how did you feel like crap after that last shot? What did you feel exactly? Nausea?
Yeah, dude, that's the worst. So nausea and you can't eat. Yeah, that's the worst. And dude, I think I pinpointed what it was. I think it's the TNE and glucol. You know what I'm talking about? How they have to the tesnoester.
Yeah. What's the glucol?
Glucol is what they mix it in to make it suspend. Because if they put it in like regular like grapeseed oil, it'll crash. Mm-hmm. And that stuff still crashes in the glucol. And I think warming it up maybe made the oil rancid or something. I don't know, man. But that's the worst for me, man. That's like the number one side effect I get is nausea.
So I was getting that a lot. Obviously, I wasn't bodybuilding, but I was arm wrestling, and I was taking quite a bit of stuff, just for fun, also like you, like experimenting, like that. And I was getting a lot of nausea too. And now that I've gotten into health stuff, I realize that this is a sign of one of two things, or maybe both. Either your body's in a very inflammatory state, which means your body thinks it has foreign bodies in it, and it's trying to attack those things, which is why taking ibuprofen will stop it usually. And the second thing is the liver being over toxic. When the liver gets very toxic, you get nausea, you get low energy, and then you feel full, you can't eat. And actually, by the way, I
see. I don't think it's a liver issue with me because my liver's always good. I think with me, it's a matter of when I take that shot, my body's rejecting that oil and it's like it's either an inflammation response or an immune response.
Yeah, that's what it would do. It would be an inflammatory response from the oil or from something in the thing.
Yes.
Interesting.
I think heating the oil over and over, because it crashes out of solution. The only way to get it back in the solution is to heat it back up. I think the over and over of heating it up made the oil go bad or something, but I'll be able to pinpoint it on leg day, because leg day I'm going to do a half cc instead of a full cc. If I get just the little slightest bit of nausea, I'll know it's that, and I'll have to cut it out.
It very much could be, because the heating it could change the molecular structure of the things inside.
And it's not just heating it once, it's heating it over and over and over. So, and then the oil turns like, it goes from clear to like a little bit of a yellow tint.
Oh yeah, that's turning rancid. That's the sign that you know.
Yeah, so dude, maybe that's, and like I said, it's not the compound dying, it's the oil fucking going bad. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna take a half cc, and if I get the little slightest bit of nausea, I'll know. But at least I'll know, and it make me feel better. You know, people are probably like, "You're crazy," but I gotta figure it out. Like, what's making me feel nauseous? Because then I can cut it out. You know.
No, it's not crazy at all. You should figure it out, because honestly, it's very enjoyable to take these things too.
Exactly.
I understand the feeling. But while we're on this subject, I wanted to ask you: can you still get the same kinds of stuff that you used to with China being closed down, or has it affected you? Or I know you stockpile, but
well, first of all, I've stockpiled for literally till I die, but besides that, dude, I still right now, let's say if I had no stockpile, I could still get stuff easily. Same as always. It's still the same, dude.
Oh, really?
They're still manufacturing. One of the biggest labs in China is still operating, and they don't give a fuck.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that. Okay, that's a good sign. Okay, so before we get into more drug stuff, I wanted to ask you.
That is my fear, dude. Is one day we won't get gear, and I'll be like, motherfuckers, I got a whole fucking room of this shit.
I used to be the same. I used to stockpile also. And also not just stockpile, like if I get something very good, I would keep one bottle. Like if I have 5 bottles or 6, if something was very good, I would keep one just in case. So I have the best collection of everything.
Dude, I stockpile all the good shit, and I use all the shit that I don't. Like, I stockpile all the good stuff that, like, I'm like, all right, well, if I do compete one day, I know this is good, so I'm going to hold on to this. And then right now, since I'm not training for anything, I shoot the stuff that I'm not really sure about.
Well, by the way, you don't, that's funny, but you don't have a gym at all at home?
My mom has a home gym, but I don't like training at the house, man.
Yeah, it's not
I honestly enjoy the gym atmosphere.
Yeah, of course. I agree. So I wanted to ask you before we get into more drug stuff. So Bostin every so often has things that are bugging him about the bodybuilding industry. Before I ask you about some things I was going to ask you about, is there something on your mind? Because I've noticed that you've not been making many Instagram posts.
Well, no, man. Like I stopped doing that because I get so invested in that. Like I get so invested that it takes away from. I make one post, there'll be like 200 or 300 comments, and I'll be going back and forth with idiots, and it just takes away time from my clients, from Ariella, from my son. So I try not to, but I saw a thing yesterday that really pissed me out, or 2 days ago, and somebody was, dude, multiple people were sharing this to me. Somebody on the story on Instagram asked Dusty Hanshaw. You know who Dusty Hanshaw is?
No.
Dusty Hanshaw, he's like Dante Trudell's. He's like his right underneath him. Like they used to be like Dusty Hanshaw is a pro bodybuilder. I don't know how he turned pro. He looks terrible, but anyways, they asked him what's the most milligrams he's ever taken in a week.
What is it?
And he said 1,900 total. Dude, his mentor Dante Trudell used to advise 2+ grams of testosterone a week. Yes. So I know that's bullshit. And he was like, that was with pre-contest with like 4 drugs. And I'm like, dude, in pre-contest, you took more than 4 different drugs. Dude, these guys are such liars. Like that kind of shit pisses me off.
So I noticed that a lot recently. A lot of people like to downplay, even though it's open, it's out in the open. Why do you cut your milligrams in half? Why are you telling? You're not saving anyone anything. They're just trying to look like they have better genetics than they really do have. Yes.
That's my pet peeve. It's like they know they can't claim natural because we would be like, but they can get away with saying, I only take this much. And
Yeah.
dude, that's a pet peeve of mine because Dusty, I call him Dusty Handjob because he's a fucking idiot. But he did it the other day, like 1,900 middles total in a prep, dude. That's for a pro. And dude, that's, I swear to God, like I know who, like maybe that was his fucking, you know, cycle for his last show when he looked like shit. Maybe he did run that much, but it's the thing is somebody asked him, what's the most you've ever ran? Don't just tell them the last year or so. Tell them when you put on 30 pounds of muscle that 1 year when you work with, you know, fucking, what's his name? Dante Trudell, whatever, with 2 grams of test with Steve Kuklo and Justin Harris. Be honest about it, man. Be honest about it, you know?
Well, the thing is, okay, this is not. So Lee Priest, he often get asked this question, and he says something like use 600 milligrams of Deca and 200 milligrams of something else. But I like Lee Priest, so this is, I'm not bashing him at all because he's very honest otherwise.
Yeah.
Which I don't understand because maybe it's true that he only used. It's not. It can't be. This is the okay. Well, let me tell you why it can't be true. Because if somebody's using 800 milligrams total, if they use 1.2, they will look better. Now, maybe if you're using 3,000, if you're using 3 grams, you might not look better if you use 5 grams. But if you're using 1 gram, you'll look better at 1.5 grams. There's no question about it. You'll grow bigger. Yeah, you'll grow bigger.
Yeah.
So it's not people who are using less than.
But then again, bigger is not always better. See, the thing with Lee Priest is I used to think he was lying, right? And then I thought about it. He's literally 5'1", and
it's possible, you think?
He's not claiming natural, and he's like, I tried growth hormone once and all this shit. And dude, his genetics, even when he was natural as in like a fucking 14-year-old or 12-year-old kid he's been training, I do believe him because dude, he's so honest with everything else that I would give him the benefit of the doubt. I would. And don't get me wrong, dude, if he was taking more, I think it was him not knowing how much he was taking. Do you see what I'm saying? Like him being a dumb bodybuilder and listening to advice of like, hey, take 2 cc's of this, 2 cc's of this, and he just thought he was taking less. You know what I mean?
I mean,
hey, I tell you what, Mike O'Hearn is the worst.
Oh, today actually, Generation Iron made a video with. You saw it? With
no, I didn't see it. It's called Natty or Not.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I was gonna ask you about this Natty or Not thing too, but there's this video with Kevin Levrone. Kevin Levrone is saying that he believes that Mike O'Hearn is natural because his weight didn't fluctuate much. But the problem is, if Mike O'Hearn is natural, then if he took steroids, he's Mr. Olympia. That's it. Because nobody is.
Dude, and trust me, if you were that good natural, you would definitely be like, how good could I get? You would definitely be like, how good could I get?
You'd be like, I could definitely win.
The reason that we know he's not natural, though, is because he hasn't deteriorated at 50.
That's also, people have done analysis, though. They've shown between 30 and 50, he got a little bit better. So
yeah, there's no fucking way, dude.
And he's training since he's 14, so it's not like...
dude, I do think he probably runs his cycles very smart. You know what I mean?
And very consistently.
Yeah. Very low dose and just always on a little bit of test and some growth or something. Not like up in balloon weight.
You know who's actually also a little bit like this? And I admire he's very successful on YouTube, and I think he knows what he's doing, and I don't think he's like, but the point is, Greg Doucet says he uses 140 milligrams of testosterone. But the thing is, if you look at the videos, 140 milligrams means you're basically natural, right? So even Kevin Levrone, when he goes to 140 milligrams, he looks like he looks normal. Yeah. But I don't know if you've seen Greg recently, but I'm sure he's on anti-estrogen or something like that. But the guy he's almost how he looks on stage.
Very vascular and hard, yeah.
Yeah, and he has all his striations and he moves around. It's just not possible, because if that was the case, then when you use much more, you'd be massive.
Exactly. So they like to doubt, and it kind of bites him in the ass, like you said, because you're like, wait, this is you on TRT, but you don't get that much better when you're on a full-blown cycle. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And dude, people doubt, and they kind of bite themselves in the own ass. But dude, that TRT shit went viral and rampant with, and before, RIP, but before Matt Porter died, when he said TRT and 35 or 37.5 mg of Anavar a day. And then people started saying, oh shit, he's getting a lot of people that are, following him now and stuff like that. But dude, those half truths are worse than just straight out lying to me.
That's interesting. I didn't realize it may have started then. Yeah, that's true. Because he was talking about how he was using a little bit of gear and he was maintaining his size, when in reality it was much bigger than.
It's crazy that all the people that I know you like, this is fine, but it's like almost a self-conscious thing. The guys that always preach health and talk about health are always the ones with like health issues and like shit happening to them. And I think it's because they stress out so much. Like they're stressing about it so much that they're like stressing their body. You know, like it's like almost like you think about something and it happens. You know what I mean? It's like it's constantly on their mind that they're like unhealthy and like they're constantly worried and they're stressing themselves out and they're always fucking themselves up, man.
Well, definitely, there's something like that. When you're stressed out,
Oh yeah,
your inflammatory cytokines increase in your body, and that's what causes a lot of
dude.
plaque
Like
development.
our mental mind state is everything. Like whether you're training for a show, getting ready for a triathlon, doing a MMA, like your mental state on how you're positive or how you're negative, how you're stressed out, it plays a big role for sure.
You know what's funny about this natty or not stuff is that you were sort of the first person on YouTube that was talking about steroids openly. And since then, there's been a bunch of people that make these natty or not videos and develop huge channels just on judging like random people, celebrities and stuff, natty or not. You should be doing this. If anyone should be doing
Yeah,
this, it's you, to be
only
honest.
if I only if I had enough if I had enough time, energy, and care. I don't really.
That
Yeah,
nobody actually cares if there's are not bodybuilders. These are like random people, like
yeah.
cyclists and actors. But people love to watch this. I think it's like young teenagers that have never used steroids. They want to know if like, they don't know exactly what steroids do. But the real solution to this is to try it yourself, and you'll be able to sort of notice. Obviously, some people's genetics are different than other people.
Yeah.
Which brings me to a point. I noticed in a discussion you were having with Dave, you were mentioning that when you take growth hormone, your IGF-1 doesn't go up that much. But
None.
your wife's does.
Who
So,
does? Oh yeah, dude. Ariel on the same growth hormone, taking like 2 IUs. She's in like the 395.
so this is really interesting. So I wanted to let you know something. So I took a lot of growth hormone before. I've tried every dose of every kind, a little bit. I didn't get much out of it. But then I started studying genetics and stuff, and I found out that I have a very odd gene at the IGF-1 receptor. My IGF-1 receptor does not receive IGF-1 easily. So even if I produce IGF-1, which in your case, it could be a growth hormone receptor issue because it's downstream. But the point is, your IGF-1 receptors may be, or your growth hormone receptors may be not as receptive to the drug.
Well, it converts in the liver, right?
But it
So
could also be the liver. Yeah.
no, dude. I think you're right, dude. I think there's something there. But the thing is as long as you're getting some effects from it, like if I took a blood serum HGH test, like if I took a shot and then went to test 4 hours later on an HGH serum, it shows that my growth hormone levels are through the roof.
Yeah,
Now,
that
if I,
you have growth hormone, but it's
yeah,
not going to IGF-1.
but it's not converting to IGF, correct?
So that could be the growth hormone receptor, actually, not the IGF-1
And who
receptor.
knows? Who knows if having that high IGF is needed? Like, am I just wasting fucking money on all this growth hormone? Or am I getting the effects without the side effects?
Yeah, that could be true. Well, you're definitely getting the fat loss from the growth hormone because that's from
It
the growth.
has to be. It has to be, dude. Like, I have to be. Because before I started growth hormone, I was a way pudgier kid. Like, I couldn't get away with the food I ate. You know what I mean?
And
So even though my IGF is low, there and it could be because blood work too. Because dude, it's crazy. Like I heard that like your vitamin D levels make an impact on it. Like your estrogen, if it's too high or too low, it could affect your IGF. There's so many factors. So who knows? Oh, I heard if your liver is stressed too, that your IGF will suck too.
that's true. But the good thing is that the IGF is the main part that impacts the insulin sensitivity. So you're probably going to get less insulin resistant because you're converting less of, or not converting, but you're causing less
Yeah,
IGF-1.
my glucose is always really good, man. Like on or off insulin. Last time I did it fasted, it was like 79.
Really? Wow.
Yeah,
So
when I
that's a
went
great sign.
so when I get my blood drawn, like for blood work, it's always like 79 to like it's like 75 to 82.
That's really good.
Yeah.
That's probably because
And
interesting.
that's after a growth hormone shot.
Well, it could temporarily lower, but generally that's really incredible. Mine was way higher than that when I was bigger. But I was going to ask you on this topic, do you use MK677?
I have used it a lot, in the past, and I do use it on occasion. The thing is it accumulates so much water and bloat that it's best to use like once or twice a week max, and it's really good for appetite. So if there's like a guy that's really skinny and can't put on weight and he doesn't hold on water, it's like perfect for guys like that who have that body type that they don't put on water or fat. But guys like me who kind of get soft and spongy real quick, you could do it like once or twice a week when you're lean for appetite purposes, like a leg day. Or, for instance, I'll give you an example, dude. I had really good success with this. I learned this from my a coach. I don't even want to get this guy credit because he's a fucking douche, but he had me doing a Lantus 100 units in the morning, and of Lantus, and then he had me do the MK677 the night before. So basically, you're shooting the Lantus in the morning, right when you get up, but you're doing the MK right before you go to bed, because the MK is longer acting. It lasts at least a day because that's how long the hunger lasts, and then the Lantus, as you know, lasts that whole day. So that combination, a couple times a week, man, I got really good results doing that. And obviously, the MK67 is supposed to blow your blood sugars through the roof. So the Lantus is actually good because it keeps your blood glucose down.
So someone was asking me about MK677. So today, before I spoke to you, I filmed a video about it. One of the interesting things that not many people know about MK677 and GRP6 and 2 is that, they're actually ghrelin mimickers. They work on the ghrelin receptor, which is the ghrelin is the hunger hormone that Dave always talks about. So apparently, like when you get hungry, the ghrelin actually agonizes the receptor, the same one that MK677 affects, and that same receptor causes growth hormone release.
Yeah. So have you ever heard of CJC DAC?
Yeah, but I don't know much about it.
Yeah. So they say to combine the CJC with the MK677 because they say it pulsates the GH and gives it a better release, and it gives it a longer release. So it says that it amplifies the growth hormone. So he had me do the MK677 with the CJC before bed. And then he had me doing that like twice a week. And then he would have me do the Lantus that morning of. And then, dude, I was at my biggest and fullest ever. That day, like in the middle of the day, like, or at night when I would train, the pumps were crazy. But hey, if you want MK677, real MK677, let me know, dude. I'll ship you one for free because we have so many, dude. And it's expensive too. It's like I'll just send it to you because we have so many leftover bottles from 3cc research when I closed down.
Oh, you did close down.
I'm telling you, dude. Anyone will tell you if they use MK677, they probably have used a variety of them. There's no better quality than the MK677 that I got because we got it manufactured here. And yeah, dude, everyone has tried like all different sources, and they're always emailing me like, "Hey, bro." But yeah, dude, we have so much like left over. If you wanted to try it or experiment on it yourself, like you would put on. I'm not kidding you. You'd put on like 15 pounds in like a week on it, and it would be some sub-Q. It would be bloat, but dude, you'd be fucking cleaning out your pantry at the house. You would not stop eating. And it's funny because you said it's a ghrelin, it's ghrelin, right?
Yeah.
But the ghrelin only works for like 2 weeks, and then it goes.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying, dude. If you take it twice a week,
take it consistently.
You take it twice a week on those 2 high days where you're eating a lot of carbohydrates. Because, dude, if you eat a lot of carbs every day, you're going to get fat. That's dumb. But if you use it on those 2 days a week, you're going to get hungry those 2 days. Because there's those other 5 days of the week you're not using it, and you're refreshing your receptors on that. But if you use it every day after about a week or two, you don't even get the hunger effects. You're just bloated. You're fucking watery and all that shit. So if you ever want to experiment with it, let me know.
2 things I want to say just to the audience. Number one, I've talked to Bostin a lot privately over the years. Nobody knows more about sources or compounds than he does. Like, I trust him very much. I still haven't reached out to you about this one thing I was going to ask you about last time, but I still will. No, I don't trust anyone with American sources or stuff like that as much as you. You're like a connoisseur. Like,
yeah, because dude, I have that forum. Ever since that forum came out, I know everything now.
Yeah. People should check out that form. The second thing though is that
I finally got my processor back on it. So.
Oh yeah. By the way, we never talked about that after. I forgot to
Yeah,
text.
I got it back. So if anyone wants to sign up, you can get on there and sign up now. Finally.
Yeah, a lot of people messaged me like, where after our last podcast, people were asking about a source. Go to his forum and be on the forum and find out from the source.
And it's
Comment
friendly.
to me, I don't know anything.
I keep it clean as hell on there, dude. If anyone acts up, I delete them. Everyone's friendly, and it's not just drug sources. It's drug advice. There's hundreds of pages of nutrition information, drug information. There's because there's a nutrition, there's a drug talk, there's a miscellaneous. So all those tabs have pages and pages of information, dude, where I go back and forth with people talking about stuff. So for how cheap it is, man, it's a no-brainer.
No, and Boston's helped me. He's really helpful for this, genuinely, guys. The second thing I want to say is you're totally right about the food. I've never tried MKs. No, maybe I have, but the hunger thing, I've read a lot of studies on it recently. And what I've noticed is that all the studies show that the hunger diminishes after a couple of, usually like maximum 3 months, people start to really reduce their hunger. But interestingly, it only raises GH by like 1.8 times. So like 80% higher GH and 50% higher IGF-1. So it's not that much higher. People think that they can use it instead of GH, and it's not comparable. Like
no, but if they do use it with the CJC, I've seen people's IGF levels like really get high.
Really?
Yeah, with the CJC. With the MK677, I've seen some people in the 300s, but I've seen even people in the 500s with the CJC. Dude, CJC is like a strong growth hormone releaser. It's very strong.
It's weird because I've never read about it in academic papers, but I know what you're talking about. Listen, I want to ask you about something recently everyone's been talking about. I'm sure you saw the debate that Dave had on his channel between Milos and himself about insulin.
Yeah, I like that one. Yeah, I watched that.
I did too. And then before, what inspired that was apparently on Generation Iron, George Farah, who just recovered from cancer and all that, he came back and he said insulin is the worst thing in bodybuilding.
I saw that interview too on Generation Iron, yeah.
Okay, perfect. So you know the background. So yeah. I wanted to know what's your opinion. I'm really curious.
Okay, so George is a nice guy. He actually wrote me a program. I kept asking for his freaking payment information to send him money, and he wouldn't accept money, and he just sent me a diet and sent me a program. So first of all, I like George. He called me and talked to me, and he would have kept talking to me. He was a very, very generous, and he wanted to really talk to me. And who knows if he's downplaying what they did take back in the day. But what I think happened with George, man, is I think that they did abuse the drugs. Because I mean, if you look at George's physique, you could tell that in the back when he was competing, he used a lot of synthol in his arms. And I think back then, man, like he used to abuse, and he's so beat up now, and he feels unhealthy. And I think he generally cares, and I think he's generally a good person. Just from talking to him on the phone, I think he generally is a good person. And I think that he had so many side effects, and now he's all messed up. And he's seen it happen to other people that he's just looking out for people, and he's not going to advise those. He's not going to advise those, dude. You should. I think the cycle he sent me had like 10 mgs of Winstrol. It was like 10 mgs of Winstrol before bed. Obviously, I didn't follow the cycle, but I mean, the cycle was it was laughable. It was less than what figure girls run. It was literally 10 mgs of Winstrol before bed. I think 200 Deca a week. And maybe 500. Yeah, it was something small, man. It was crazy. But hey, I love his nutrition. The guy's smart. I think eye to eye with him on nutrition. And everyone thinks he's a low fat guy. And he might be low fat when it comes to pre-contest. But dude, he has avocado, olive oil, whole eggs in the off season. Like, he's not low fat. Everyone think to grow and put muscle on, you need those healthy fats.
Did he write this diet after his cancer or before?
Yeah, dude, just recently, months ago. And he checked up on me too. He was like, "Hey, man," he's like, "I want to. You ever heard back from me?" And I'm like, "Hey, man, I'm sorry. Like, I felt bad, man. Like, if I would have paid him, I probably would have followed it. But I just felt bad taking up his time, and he wouldn't give me his PayPal information to pay him. Dude, he charges $5,000 a year because I did contact him in 2015 and he quoted me like $5,000 for the year. And then this time he was like, hey, give me a call. And I called him and he was like, I want to do this for free. And I'm like, dude, no, I do this for a living. So he sent me the program without me even sending him pictures or anything. He just sent it, and I'm like, all right, well, you just sent me the program. I want to pay you. And he wouldn't accept it, dude.
What a nice guy. That's really
yeah. So going back to the whole Milos thing, of course, George Farah has used insulin with all of his guys. He doesn't, and I know that because I've talked. In an email, I was like, hey man, about insulin, and we talked about it. So it's not like he hasn't used it in the past. He does. I just don't think that he's willing, unless he has like a Kai Green on his hands, who's like at that level that could make $400 paycheck. I don't think he's really willing to risk it. Yeah.
Well, this is the feeling that I got is because he realized that the cancer development, cancers happen. They're really fueled. Most cancers are really fueled by simple carbs, and they're fueled by being in what's called the hyperinsulinemic state, like having too much insulin in your body, which comes from eating carbs also. You don't need to inject insulin, right?
Yeah.
You eat a lot of carbs, you get a lot of insulin and a lot of sugar. And that's the perfect breeding ground for most cancers, including colorectal cancer, which unfortunately he suffered from. And we're also happy that he recovered from. And this is the first time I talked to somebody who actually knew George Farah, and it's great to hear he's a gentleman. But the point is, I think he realized that it's just inherently unhealthy, and having too much insulin levels in general are somewhat unhealthy. But what did you think about Milos and Dave debating over the long-term use? Because you've done everything.
Well, dude, I'll be honest, I've abused insulin like a bitch, like a motherfucker. And all it did was blow my gut out and Palumboism the fuck out of me. So coming from my experience, it's overrated for sure. For sure, it's overrated. I look better when I didn't take any insulin, and I still take insulin, dude. I still just recently, a couple weeks ago, I was blasting that shit, and I still will. I'll still blast it, right? Because it's anabolic, right? It's supposed to be anabolic, dude. And I think that this is the truth. I don't think anyone knows if insulin is actually the right way to run it. Obviously, it works, right? But I don't think there's anyone that knows the right formula, that this is the only right way, right? I have tried Milos's 20 and 20. I just can't drink that many carbs intra-workout, dude. It's like my pump is in my gut. Like I have all these carbs in my stomach and I'm burping, and and insulin bloats you in itself, right? So I've actually followed the same exact protocol. The only thing I didn't do was I didn't fucking use all the citrulline and arginine. And dude, I could show you that. I'll actually send you his pre-intro and post, because you're a natural supplement freak. I know you like that shit. He has all of his guys do all these natural supplements around the workout with the carbs and with the insulin. So I did the insulin protocol with the carbs and with the amino acids, like the essential aminos and branch chains. Yeah. He likes to mix essentials with the branch chains, with the glutamine, with the creatine, and then a bunch of other fucking shit. I didn't do the bunch of other shit, but I did the creatine, the glutamine, all that stuff. I was just so bloated, and it sounds like everyone that on Dave's comment list had the same response as me. They were like, dude, I couldn't handle that many carbs. I mean, imagine having 200 carbs in your workout.
No, I've actually tried it, but without all the other stuff. I just tried it, and it was very unpleasant, to say the least.
My workout sucked.
Yeah. I don't know how he does it.
I don't like training for 2 hours. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe he's doing marathon training with lightweight,
giant sets, running around the gym.
Yeah, it's a lot. But we do know that insulin definitely raises IGF-1. But
it would be good for a marathon runner, right?
Yeah, he's right. Dave was right when he said that. But we do know that if you raise insulin, specifically if you raise IGF-1 after the workout, there is academic evidence of this. The IGF-1 goes to the damaged muscle. By the way, if you raise IGF-1 when you're not working out, it'll stay around your organs. This is in academic literature for sure. They've checked it out.
That's probably why my fucking stomach's so big.
Because you're raising it all the time, right? And you're eating. So the blood is all there and it stays there. But if you do it after the workout, that's what's important. So I don't know why Milos is doing it right before and stuff. I don't know. I mean,
I agree, man. The best insulin, and I still have my clients. I put on 50 pounds on some guys. in like a couple months, dude. And like they didn't get fat with a lot of insulin. But I use a combination, and I'm just saying this, dude. It's like whatever. Like my experienced guys, Lantus morning in post. I have them do Lantus morning and before they sleep with their with growth hormone, right? And then I have them do growth hormone with their pre-workout meal, and then I have them do Humulin R with their pre-workout meal. So basically, I don't like doing the Humalog pre because then it's too hard to time, and so I have them do that, and then I have them. Some of them don't even need carbs into your workout because my workouts are 30 to 45 minutes. But usually I'll give them like grape juice, which like 8 ounces, which is like 30 grams of carbs, 36 grams of carbs with some aminos, and then post workout is when I'll do a nice fat Humalog shot with a bunch of like dextrose and aminos and shit like that with your whey isolate. And I got to like 285 pretty lean doing that. And I put on guys that have better genetics with me. I had a guy that hit like, he's actually doing North Americans. I think he got to like 300 pounds, but I didn't even have him on that much insulin. I had him on some, but not like that. But I've blown guys up, dude, with that protocol. But this is the thing. I've blown them up and they don't look fat. They're just balloons, right? Mm. But when they come off the insulin and they diet down, it's like, it's not tissue. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, insulin definitely makes you hold water by itself.
So maybe there is a little bit of muscle you're gaining during that phase, maybe. But majority of it is like intercellular water that you're jacking into the muscle. So it's almost like if you're going to use that in off-season, you better use a little bit of that in prep to keep that fullness.
Can I ask you a question? Have you ever tried to IV inject growth hormone?
Dude, I've IV'd everything.
No,
I've been close to IVing trend suspension, test suspension. I've been this close to doing it, but I was like, I'll probably fucking die. But I'll tell you what. If somebody sent me micronized test suspension from an American pharmacy, like that you could use on an insulin needle, because the UGL stuff will clog a fucking, I'd be having to shoot my vein with an 18 gauge to get that shit through because it clogs. If I got micronized test suspension from a pharmacy in America, I would IV it 100%. Right before I walked into the gym, in my car, right before I stepped in, I'd IV that shit. And I'd probably get like that Eurofic high, like the Eurofic.
Yeah.
That was the same feeling I got with the Nubane. Dude, imagine that, mixing Nubane and test suspension. Like, you use the Nubane to push the fucking test suspension through so you get all of the – that's what I would do. My OCD would be so bad. I'm like, how can I push everything through? I would just load it up with Nubane and get the rest of it in.
But how did you figure out how to do the IV? Look, the reason why I'm asking, just to be clear, is I've been trying to do a phlebotomy, like get rid of some blood, because this damn Red Cross, you have to book and wait for like a month. It's really annoying.
I've seen people do their own blood like that in the sink. There's YouTube videos on it.
Yeah, I'm going to figure it out because I was like, this is too much. I went and gave blood and I was like, this woman is not really doing anything. She's just, it looks simple.
You can do it yourself as long as you know how much you don't want to take too much out.
Yeah, exactly. But how did you went on and watched some YouTube videos, or how did you figure out how to hit the vein proper? Because you're not a drug addict. You don't use drugs.
I got a big ass vein on my bicep right here.
But you got to go sideways, right? You don't.
No. Where the bicep meets the forearm right here.
Yeah.
I actually have track marks. That's how much of a fucking IV guy I am. But dude, you're gonna laugh at this, and a lot of the viewers are gonna be like, "What the fuck?" But I've IV'd everything. I've IV'd growth hormone, IGF, DES, like right before I trained, IGF LR3. I've done insulin. I've IV'd a whole syringe of everything mixed together: insulin, growth hormone, EPO. All in the same syringe, just shot it all in.
Insulin. Wow.
Everything. If you IV insulin, it's a Eurofic feeling. You get high, like you feel high.
Are you serious?
Crazy, yeah. Not as much on the Humalog, but on the Humulin R, if you IV it, you get like a Eurofic feeling. Dude, I've IV'd everything, but you're gonna even laugh at this. I don't throw away insulin syringes. My OCD is too bad. The only way I will throw it is if it clogs, meaning like one day, like it'll like whatever it is, it won't push out through the needle because it gets like stuck in the needle, right? Or if it completely bends and breaks, then I'll toss them.
It happens.
As long as the insulin needle's still intact, I'll keep shooting that dull needle until it breaks. And I will keep using that needle to IV myself.
That's not, but you shouldn't IV with it. You should
I
shoot
know, it's
muscle.
crazy, right? It's stupid. It's stupid. I know.
Well, that's how you're gonna get the track marks because it's caused a little bit of damage on the vein.
Yeah, because it's fucking like a rusty ass needle.
Okay, I thought I was tough with the injections, but you just completely impressed the hell out of me. I'm now I'm thinking I have to do the phlebotomy myself. This is ridiculous. You're shooting growth hormone, but did you ever notice a difference from the growth hormone in IV? What are you gonna say?
No, I know I didn't, but the worst thing I ever IV'd was that AMP stuff. That I did this on talked about on Dave's podcast. The adenosine monophosphate.
Yeah.
That stuff that it capillates. It brings muscle. You get vascular as hell on it right away, and it brings a ton of oxygen in the muscle. But it's they give it to like horses before they race, dude. They sell it on the horse site.
Are you talking about adenosine monophosphate?
Yes. Yes.
Wow, interesting.
They sell it, dude. You get crazy pumps on that. So a lot of people will shoot it intermuscular in the muscle of training, and it'll bring that gives you a europhic high. Like you feel high on that. They give it to horses before they race because of lactic acid buildup. It helps with that.
Have you ever heard of the SARM or whatever it's called? But it's a AICAR, AICAR.
I've heard of it.
So AICAR actually mimics AMP in the body. So when it goes in, your body recognizes it as AMP. But by the way, you don't want to actually inject AMP because it might give you a pump, but AMP, so your body has a nutrient sensing pathway. When it notices there's more AMP to ATP, it turns on this pathway called AMP kinase. And that is the opposite of a growth pathway. It turns off mTOR. It turns off IGF-1. That's really crazy. I didn't know they give that to horses.
I only use it like on leg day. And dude, I just like the high and the europhic feeling on it because it kind of gave me like a 15-minute high like the Nubane did. You know what I mean? But I'll tell you what, I got this new brand of Amped in. Never used it before. 250 mgs per ml, just like the other brand, right? Because I got the other brand from like a Turkish pharmacy. This one I got from a Canadian pharmacy, right? Dude, I looked at myself in the mirror. I talked about this on Dave's podcast. Ariella and the kid and Jackson were in bed. It was like 2 a.m. in the morning. I'm about to go train. I IV this shit, right? My head, and because you have to, dude, it takes all the oxygen out of you. Like you can't breathe.
This is so confusing. I didn't know.
I was like, dude, I thought I was going to die. I was like, like it takes everything out of you. And then I looked at myself in the mirror. I said, you fucking motherfucking idiot. I was so mad at myself, dude. I was so mad.
What would be fun is the test suspension IV.
I haven't taken it since, dude. I haven't taken that shit since. I have a full bottle of it. And I'm like, that after that experience, fuck that. I need to look into that AICAR though.
Yeah, I don't think it won't make you gain muscle. But
another thing that me and you need to look into, I'm going to experiment with it. FTTP.
What is that? I'm going to check it out.
Yeah, look that up. It's a peptide. The dosages on that are crazy, but you've probably heard of it in another name. That's the short name for it. But it's supposed to actually dissolve fat cells.
Oh, interesting. I wrote a note down.
Yeah.
Hey, tell us about the follistatin. What happened?
I haven't used it yet, dude. I haven't hit it because I don't want to waste that, dude. That was expensive. I want to be when I'm like the gyms were closed. I was training at local. I need to be like going to a good gym at least 3 times a week for me to be doing that because that's a lot of money. I don't want to I don't spend any money on drugs anymore, but I did spend money on that, so I don't want to waste that.
Yeah, for those that don't know, follistatin should inhibit myostatin, so it should cause people.
And then I'm going to mix that with the growth factor, the MGF.
Interesting. Yeah, I've read about MGF also.
That FTTP, you should hear the results that people are getting on that stuff, man. Like really? they're literally their pant size is shrinking, and it's not coming back, dude. It's like almost like injectable liposuction.
Oh, this is fascinating. I'm really going to read about this. I'll text you about it later. See what I find out.
And if you need a source for it, my peptide supplier has it. When I found out he had it, I was like, I'm just going to ask. He probably doesn't have it. They're like, yeah, we have it. And I'm like, oh my God, I got to fucking get that shit. Also, you know what really pissed me off? They banned EPO, dude, in China.
Oh, really?
Dude, I can't, thank God I have a pharmacy connect in Turkey so I can get it. But they banned EPO. I have a good amount stocked up, But dude, I was pissed. I was like, if you guys knew that you guys were going to stop producing in 2019, like, you should have told me. I would have bought like your whole thing.
But this sucks for two reasons. I was about to ask to get a not a pharmacy, but a factory in China to produce an EPO derivative. I've been studying EPO derivatives. There are some that don't cause. So listen to this. I just wrote an article about this. So EPO, right? It thickens your blood with the red blood cells, right? But that's not the main benefit. The other thing that it does is it repairs wound healing really quickly in the body. And it activates STAT3, which is this sort of growth pathway that's similar to what GH does. So
I'm using it for two things. One, for my kidneys. Two, for my endurance in the gym. And I started it like 2 weeks ago from a pharmacy, and I've already I won't say his name because he won't want me to, but a nice guy reached out to me, and he said he reached out to Dave, and Dave said, he goes, "You're crazy. I don't want that shit." He had expired EPO from the pharmacy that he didn't use and he won't use. And he sent me pictures of it, and it was expired. Dude, the guy was nice. He cold shipped me 40,000 IUs of it, and I'm using it. That's a lot, dude. Like, pharmaceutical grade EPO is not cheap. Like, that was really nice of him. It was expired, and I was like, he was like, "Will you pin it?" I'm like, "Are you fucking kidding?" I was like, "Shit." I was like, "Send that shit."
But the point is, it may cause growth, but the reason why people don't notice the growth as much is because of the blood getting too thick. You can't take that much. But I wanted to get a pharmacy or a factory in China to make one. There are like peptides of EPO that don't cause the blood thickening, but do cause the protective and regenerative effects.
Yeah.
So I was interested in that, but since it costs like $30,000 to get them to make something. I was asking Tony Huge, he was telling me like it costs a bit of money.
Well,
but
I'm borderline anemic, so when I do take it, it helps me a lot, and then my kidney functions are always like perfect on it.
I wonder what it's. I
know.
know
That's what they get. That's what they prescribe it for, is people with kidney failure, right?
Yeah, people with kidney failure do take it because the kidney failure causes them to become anemic.
Yes, correct.
Have you checked your kidneys lately? Oh,
not since not since February.
But it was like 90 your EGFR or something.
It wasn't good. It wasn't good at all. But it was because I was on that all and that. But see, this is the thing, dude.
You can't trust that though.
If you interviewed any other bodybuilder, they'd sit here and tell you that they're the healthiest motherfucker in the world. I swear to God, any bodybuilder on cycle, their blood work looks like shit. Like, if they're on a good cycle, their blood work looks like shit. And then they'll come off for fucking 3 months and they'll get their blood work and they'll be like, "Look how healthy I am for the 1 week I'm off. Look how healthy I am."
Sure. Yeah.
Because you know how resilient our bodies are, right? You could abuse a drug in our younger years when you're young, in the 30s, 40s, whatever. And you can come off for months and your blood work would be just like you never touched that drug. You might have repercussions later down the road, but you could come off and everything might clear up. I've seen guys with the shittiest blood work say "fuck bodybuilding," come off and they're perfect.
That's really true. But just so you know, if you ever want to test your kidney function while you're taking steroids and while you're big, use cystatin C, not EGFR, not creatinine. This one doesn't get affected by how much muscle you have and stuff like that. And you can tell more. But now that we actually, I had more questions about drugs, but now that we bring this up, tell me about your recent experience to the hospital.
This is good. So I've always had I've had the thyroid issue since the growth hormone experiment. And Leo, you know me, man, I'm honest. I'm going to go into a doctor's office. I'm going to tell him what I do. And, oh yeah, what nationality are you?
I'm half American and half Arab.
Okay. Well, this guy was like Indian as Indian can get.
Okay.
His last name was Patel.
Yeah, Patel is a very Indian name. That's true, actually.
So he had good reviews online, but I did catch some things about, him trying to push a vegan diet on people. So I'm like, whatever. Like, there's no way this guy's going to do that shit with me, right? Yeah. So anyways, I go in there today, and I haven't seen a doctor in years. They take my blood pressure. My blood pressure is through the fucking roof because I took an Adderall. I rarely ever take Adderall, dude. Like, ever, like once a month. And I just started taking it a couple months ago. Before I've never even used it before, but I just started it because my buddy.
How many milligrams do you take?
15 mgs.
Okay.
So I cut him in half. It was a 30. I cut him in half. I usually use maybe once a week or once every 2 weeks, and I never even touched this stuff till recently. I had to wake my ass up at 8 o'clock today to get ready for this damn appointment. I usually sleep till 1 to 2 p.m. So I took an Adderall. They took my blood pressure, and it was 180 over 120. And they were like, is your blood pressure always this high? I'm like, yeah, pretty much. And then they were like, oh, okay, right. So the lady was super cool, though. She wasn't the doctor. She was the nurse practitioner or whatever. So I go into the room with the Patel guy, and he was like, so why are you here? And they pulled up all my blood work, dude, because I used LabCorp, and I guess they were able to pull up all my LabCorps from all the years. I'm like, oh, great. Right. So I go in there to talk about being my thyroid. That's it. That's all I want information about, right? And dude, I know enough about thyroid, but I said I'm going to go see a specialist. There has to be something a specialist knows that I don't know, right? So I go in there with the information and I tell them everything. My thyroid is fine. I did a growth hormone experiment. So he cuts me off right in the beginning. He's basically, to make a long story short, we were in there for an hour of this guy, and I'm a nice guy. I should have just got up and left. Of him telling me that I should convert to a vegan diet. My cholesterol levels are terrible. I'm going to die early if I keep this up. He said, I go, listen, dude. I said, I support my wife and my kid with what I do. And I said, this is my passion. I said, I wouldn't even want to live another day if you told me I couldn't do this shit. He was like, he just completely disagreed with, went his way. He goes, you can do it natural and you could do it vegan. He goes, I know the best bodybuilders and athletes in the world are vegan. He goes, you need to watch, and vegan and natural. Netflix. He goes, you need to watch Game Changers.
Oh my
God. I'm
God.
like, I was like, I'll watch that thing, but I'm not going to, I was like, I'm not going to. So dude, he's telling me, I'm not kidding you. So I'm telling him like, listen, dude, I do this for a living. Like there's no bodybuilders in the best in the world that are natural. He goes, yes, they are. He goes, they're vegan and they're natural. I'm like, what? So he gives me a name. He gives me a name of this guy. He was like, look him up or whatever. He was like Nemia Delgado. Have you heard of him?
No.
He has like 700,000 followers on Instagram. Dude, the guy, I almost fucking fainted, bro. He's like 160 pounds. He's like lean but soft. You know how like the vegans have like that, they have that like spongier look?
Yeah.
He's lean and he looks great for being natural and vegan. But this guy was trying to tell me he's like the best bodybuilder in the world. So I'm like, and then he goes to tell me, he goes, all the athletes, power lifters, all the athletes in the world, all the best ones are now converting to veganism and they're natural. I go, wait, so you think like the people that are being tested are not like that means they're natural, like they never take anything? So this guy was trying to tell me that everyone could do it natural. Like everyone's natural, everyone could do it natural. You could do it natural. You could continue to make your living and do what you want to do natural. You could be whatever. So I'm already like, oh my God, what did I get myself into, right? So anyways, I didn't learn a fucking thing in over an hour. This motherfucker talking my ear off about this and that, right? Then I get out to pay, right? And I'm like, whatever. So, because I'm gonna self-diagnose, I'm gonna buy the blood work tonight on Private MD Labs. I'm gonna go get my blood work done with my thyroid, with my medication that I'm on now, and see where I'm at. And I'm gonna adjust it myself. But I thought, you know what? Maybe a thyroid specialist could give me some insight on why the growth hormone fucked my thyroid, if anything else. Because I was like, listen, dude, like I don't feel or look any different with a shitty thyroid versus a normal thyroid. Because I've been in range before, and I've had a shitty thyroid, and I don't feel or look any different. I thought that there would be some insight of him telling me like why that is, and absolutely fucking nothing, right? Everything I knew I should have done myself, because I do this with my clients, dude. If my clients, the first thing I do is when a natural person hires me, if somebody's natural and they don't want to take drugs, I said, that's fine, but send me your blood work. And if they have like a testosterone deficiency or a thyroid deficiency, I make sure that they're in range. Not an exponential amount, like a super amount, like bodybuilders, but just to make sure they're in range so they can make progress as a natural. So I've diagnosed, or not diagnosed, but I've seen bad thyroids and I've put people in range easily. You know, you start low, get your blood work tested in 4 to 6 weeks. If you're still low, add a little bit more and see where you're at. Once you hit that range, you're done. So I already know this, right? So I learned absolutely fucking nothing, right? So anyways, of him preaching to me, right, the whole time. So I go out to pay, and I was told it was 190 for the visit, 190, because I don't have insurance, so I'm paying out of pocket, right?
Oh.
So she goes, I asked her when I said, how much will this visit be? She goes, it'll be 190. I go to see the doctor, this and that. I said, go back, whatever, this and that. He talks my ear off. I come out to pay. She goes, it's 220. I go, you just, and dude, I'm usually a nonchalant guy. Like, I'll usually just be like, whatever. But I was pissed. I was like, no. I was like, you told me 190. I said, if you would have told me 220, I would have paid 220, no doubt. Dude, I wouldn't. I was like, you know what? I said, that's bullshit. I said, let me talk to the doctor. He comes out, we're arguing and shit. I'm like, dude, you didn't even tell me anything. I said, you were talking basically the whole time. Like, we went over because it was like, we went over because of you. I didn't
you because you went over?
Yeah.
Oh
like,
my God.
It was like they charge you every minute you go, and I'm like, first of all, you didn't tell me that. He was like, they were like, it was a level 5 appointment. You went over an hour or whatever. I'm like, listen, you talked about my thyroid for fucking 15 minutes. Everything else was me about, you know, and I was like, nice. Dude, I was nice in there, man. Like, I was like, yeah, man, I understand. I said, I'm not a dumb bodybuilder. I said, I understand that there's health effects. I said, I understand that what I'm doing now will affect me in later in life. I said, I understand this, man. I said, you don't have to preach to me. I said, I'm not in denial. So anyways, dude, I was like, they were like, no, it's 220. I was like, all right, I'm out of here. I just was like, I'm not going to pay shit because I was pissed, right? So I'm walking out. She goes, sir, she goes, I have your ID. She had my ID still. I'm like, oh, so you're going to hold my fucking ID hostage, right? So I'm like, basically in my head, I'm thinking, I'm like, if they call the cops and I'm like, listen, they quoted me 190. Now they want 220. Their cops are going to laugh at them. So anyways, the doctor was like, just charge him. Long story short, after me arguing with this Indian guy, he was like, he was like, just charge him 190 or whatever. Cause I was telling him, I said, listen, she told me 190. We went over because of you. So don't be giving me that shit, right? But I only did this because we went to a holistic nutritionist doctor for my kid when he was like 1 year old. And they told us 190 when we got in there. And then they said 290 when we got out. And I said, what? And they were like, you went over by 30 minutes. We charge an extra so-and-so every 50 minutes. I said, first of all, you didn't tell us that.
Well, they should warn you before you run over. They should be like, okay.
That's exactly what I said. I said, first of all, you didn't tell us that. We just thought it was an appointment. Once we leave, we just pay them out. And second of all, if we were running low, you should have been like, hey, we're going to hit that amount. This is the right thing to do. Hey, we're going to hit that amount of that time limit. If you want to go an extra 50 minutes, it'll be this much. And you say, hey, yeah, I'm willing to pay you, or no, let's just cut it short. I'm fine with that. So, dude, that time I just was like, whatever. And I gave her my credit card and I paid the extra $100 for the extra 30 minutes I was there. This time I was like, no motherfucking doctors. They try to rip you off, dude. They're rip-offs.
So, yeah, that's true. But I have two comments. So the first thing is this guy seems brainwashed by the Game Changers movie, which I don't know if you watched it, but it's a ridiculous movie. And if you go on Joe Rogan has an interview where he has the game. Well, the best one is a vegan debate with an omnivore a year beforehand. I could send the link to you if you want to see it. But basically, the Game Changers is ridiculous. They brought like 3 athletes. They're not at the top of their game. One is a strongman. He placed like 10th or something like that. I don't remember exactly. He's not in the top 5 of the world or anything. And these guys claim to be vegan. Obviously, the strongman is not natural.
Yeah.
It can't be vegan and natural. But it's not just that. When someone tells you have to be vegan to be healthy, I don't want to bore you with the details, but you can easily be vegan and be unhealthy, and you can easily eat meat and be healthy. It just depends on what you're eating.
It's all what you're eating. Exactly. It's all what you're. He was trying to tell me, he's like, all the top athletes are converting to veganism, and I'm like, oh.
But the second thing I wanted to, I was curious. You said that he said your cholesterol is very high. Do you know what your cholesterol is?
Dude, I straight out told him, I said, listen, dude, I said I had a fucking Frappuccino and 2 egg McMuffins an hour before the fucking, I said I didn't fast. And I'm sure my cholesterol isn't good, dude. I mean.
No, but
I'll
I
be
just want you
honest.
to know, I didn't know something when I was taking hormones. Like, there is a statin that you can take that's very light, that doesn't have many side effects, that will reduce your cholesterol a lot, could reduce the amount that whatever plaque development you get. If I was still on hormones now, I would be taking that baby statin. I could text you about it later. It doesn't have, you won't notice any effects at all. In fact, you know what's the side effect? Makes your dick harder. Very
But
surprising.
who knows how bad or how good my cholesterol is? Because I refuse to fast on those tests
No,
anyway.
no, no. The fasting affects the triglyceride, but not the
Oh,
LDL
okay.
cholesterol. So if
Oh,
you
okay.
send me it, I could tell you if you're basically, if you're above a certain range, the plaque starts to develop faster. But if you take the statin, which the side effect is better erections. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not a big deal.
After that blood pressure experiment,
No,
I'll tell you something funny though. I took the hydrochloric thiazide for my blood pressure just to see what the fuck happened. And I was like, damn, I look like, dude, this is so funny. It looked like I dieted 2 months. I was like, what the fuck? I look good. I was literally fat. Like I look fat, like all watery and shit.
mm,
And I didn't even lose that much weight on the scale. But
that's
like,
why some people take a year round.
but dude, I was like, literally, it looked like I dieted for like 8 weeks, dude. I was like, my midsection just shrank. Dude, I
You
was
want like that
what?
because you don't want that pressure on the blood vessels. Why
Dude,
wouldn't you take it?
I felt better.
Exactly.
My blood pressure went down like 20 notches, and I was only taking 12.5 milligrams.
That's a low dose. There's no reason not. I'm not a doctor, but I'm
Yeah,
just, there's no
no,
reason not to take
and
that.
dude, a lot of those medicines like Ramipril, Lisinopril, they have it in the same pill.
Yes, yes.
They have it.
Valsartan has
And I will tell
hydrochlorothiazide.
you, I think I even told you this in the last podcast. When I did take that Ramipril, I looked a lot better in the mirror. Like I was tighter and the muscles were fuller. I don't know what it was. And that was the only thing I changed. And obviously I had to come off because I didn't like the way I felt. I think Dave accidentally gave me the wrong starting dose. He said 10 mgs. It was too high. But I think like a low dose of Ramipril with like a little bit of hydrochloric thiazide, whether it be like 6.25 mgs or 12 point, I tell you what, man, I felt a lot better and I lost that bloat and it literally looked like I dieted. It was crazy. And I was eating junk food. Like I wouldn't even look at myself in the mirror days before. I took that and my chest cleared up, everything cleared up.
Try the one I used to use, which is not medical advice, but try the one I used to use, which is called Codiavan. Codiavan has valsartan and hydrochlorothiazide in it.
I could get that.
Why I say
Text me that. Is
yeah,
that an antagonist too?
no, it's not a beta blocker. It's a vasodilator combined with a diuretic.
Okay, because I don't want to take a beta blocker. Because
No, beta blocker could affect you psychologically.
no, dude, I took the beta blocker, Antinol. You've heard of it, right?
Yeah,
It made
atenolol.
me
Yeah.
sleepy. It made me sleepy.
Some people get more side effects from that than others. Like you're not a high-strung person. You're very relaxed.
Dude, I was the laziest piece of shit on that.
Yeah, so you would. I'm high-strung, so for me it makes me feel better actually. But definitely look.
Like if you give me that name, I could grab it from my pharmacy.
I will send it to you. Yeah. Also, All Day Chemist carries it.
So that's what I'll get it from.
Yeah, All Day Chemist has it all the time.
Do they have that? Or do I have to buy the hydrochloric and that? Or
They have it combined. But if you wanna, yeah, they have it already. It's there and it's awesome. And they also have the statin I was telling you about.
Do you take the hydrochloric thiazide?
Not anymore, but when I was bigger, I used to take it. Yeah, when I was
Did you notice the big difference?
Oh yeah, it's a huge difference. The water reduced. My blood pressure was immediately better. You have to take that if you take a lot of gear because the gear is causing. It's not just water retention, but it's also the estrogen effects making you hold more water. And you don't want to take so many anti-estrogens. So what you do is you just take a light diuretic to reduce some of that water.
Yeah, like a light. Like I said, some people take 25, but I don't need that much. 12.5, I was fine.
Yeah, very small amount. And what happens is, listen, your heart is pumping through those blood vessels. If the blood vessels are tight, there's a lot of pressure, so your heart grows. But if there's not much pressure, your heart doesn't grow as much.
Yeah.
So
why don't you like an ACE inhibitor like most doctors do Lisinopril? Why don't you like that one?
An ACE inhibitor is actually an older medication than valsartan. The one I'm talking about is the newer medications. They both work sort of the same way, but this is directly an angiotensin blocker instead of.
You know how much hydrochloric thiazide is in one of them?
I think it was 12.5.
Okay, yeah, that's mostly what they are usually.
Yeah, but you could break it up, or you could buy them
If you
separate.
just take one with breakfast.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, once a day. And then, but the Livalol, just so you know, I know you probably heard horror stories about statins. Now, statins, the main side effect of statins is that for some people, they worsen their insulin sensitivity. But there's one statin, they call it like a baby statin. It's called Livalol. This one doesn't really affect insulin sensitivity. It's never been shown to. And it's very light. So it's not going to reduce your cholesterol by half, but it won't have, I'm not a doctor. I'm just saying my experience. It won't have any side effects for you. Like nothing. Maybe it'll make, as I said, better erection quality, but it will reduce the amount of cholesterol you have going in your bloodstream. So there's less plaque development.
Yeah.
So it's just like preventative. And they all the chemists.
I haven't looked into the statins. I'll have to look into that.
Yeah, nobody does that. Nobody does that. I always think it's a mistake. If I knew this back then, I would have been taking Livalol the whole time. But I mean,
I've yet to see a bodybuilder on a lot of gear that has like good cholesterol though.
Yeah, but I bet you if you take a statin, you'll have a good cholesterol.
No, I'm not saying you don't take a medication. Maybe that is the case, but I'm saying naturally.
Yeah, of course, because it changes the metabolism in the body. When people say they have good blood markers while they're on cycle, I really don't. Like you said, I really don't believe it.
I don't believe it.
I mean, I'll tell you guys, my C-reactive protein was 11, which is like 30 times what it's supposed to be. My EGFR was 90 for years. Like for 2 years, my EGFR was 90. Now my EGFR is 60. It's fine, but it was very high before. And I don't remember, my cholesterol never got that high because I just have a body that doesn't produce much cholesterol. But everybody on hormones that weighs a lot, that is muscular, will have blood work that's messed up. Sure. You could probably be on hormones and be skinny and be fine.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, on the hydrochloric thiazide, I got to order more from All Day Chemist, but they're out of the 25s. But like I said, I got to cut them in half and go down to like 65. Do they have the valsartan, just the valsartan, so I could just add my own?
Yes. I don't know if they're in stock right now because right now India's blocked.
You notice that? Do you notice that they're out of stock on hella shit?
Yeah, because
people ever stock back up?
Yeah, for sure. India's just blocked because of the coronavirus. India's really suffering, so they're shipping out of Singapore.
Okay, so you think when this all ends, they'll come back in stock with stuff?
Absolutely. They're messaging.
I noticed they're out of a lot of stuff that I use.
I know. I was looking for some really advanced longevity medications also, and I'm not getting it there.
Dude, that site has everything. It's crazy. You know what's another good site you should look at is clearskypharmacy.biz.
Oh, I've never heard of it.
It's just like, dude, it's just like All Day Chemist, but they got more shit.
Really, huh?
Clearskypharmacy.biz, and you can pay with like a credit card or e-check, just like them, and they ship faster.
Really? Are they based in India too?
They're based in India. They have a lot of Alpha Pharma products, but they also have generic pharma, and then like Cipla. You've heard of Cipla?
Yeah. I'm gonna check it out. This is very helpful, guys. I'm telling you. Listen, I think I might join the forum myself.
There's everything on there.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you a couple more things before we finish. So one thing, you mentioned the gut bloating before. Do you think that the insulin while eating fats is what's doing that? Like Milos was recently saying on Generation Iron?
I've tried both. I've tried it just to experiment, and it still bloats me, dude. So maybe because I've used so much insulin with fats in the beginning that it's not reversible, but I've tried it like with or without the fats. I've done every insulin protocol you could imagine. I've done it Humalog, just pre and post with no fat. I've done, lots of Lantus with Humulin. I've tried that's why I think that I have good knowledge. Is not because I'm a fucking nerd. Is because I've tried it myself. So I know what works and what doesn't, because I'm not one of those brainiacs. I love to read about bodybuilding and I love to research, but once I research it, I don't just research it and regurgitate it. I research it and then do it on myself and be like, oh, that's shit, or that works. You know what I mean?
That's very true. I mean, I just want to commend you because so I have this similar thing though. I was arm wrestling and weightlifting. I wasn't bodybuilding, but because I liked drugs, so I tried everything that I knew until you said the IV stuff, and I never tried that. That's really impressed me and took me through the wall. But to be honest, you tried more things than I did, but I tried a lot of things. A lot of people didn't try a lot of things. They just did what their coach did, stuff like that. So when people hire you, you have experience with everything. Maybe 90% of it didn't work, but you know what didn't work and you know what did work, and you treat them like you would treat your little brother or your son or something.
Most of the stuff did not work, like you said, but then you get that little stuff that does work that you can implement, and people like respond amazing to it. Oh, by the way, the worst thing I ever IV'd besides that amp where it literally took all the oxygen out of me is when I IV'd Clen, injectable Clen. Dude, it was instant jitters. It was like I was jittering while I was shooting it.
Oh my God.
I got like one unit in, and I started like shaking.
That's like injecting meth without the high.
I know, dude. It was so bad. It was so bad. My anxiety was so bad for like 20 minutes. I was like that. Because Clen is supposed to be, when you take it in oral form, it has a long half-life.
Yeah.
So when you IV it, it's like, dude, it was so bad.
That's when you needed the atenolol, the beta blocker.
Yes.
You should have been taking it then.
Or when I took the injectable DMP. Next time, dude, that's a good fucking, dude, I didn't even think about that. That's my next experiment. I have a bunch of Antinol that I told myself I would never use. Next time I use the DMP, phentermine, Yohimbe, I'll use that Antinol because it'll calm me down.
Yeah, it does work to calm, it lowers the heart rate. But
dude, that shit makes your anxiety like crazy.
The Yohimbe, I guess, does that, not the DMP, right?
No, the phentermine, it's like meth.
Oh, phentermine. I know that.
DMP, and Yohimbe, it's the phentermine.
Okay, that's a stimulant of some kind.
It's what they give those fat chicks in the clinic so they don't want to eat. Dude, you don't want to eat all day.
Wait, were you injecting DMP in your vein?
Yes.
No way.
I tried. No, I wasn't doing. I have injectable DMP. I tried that. I tried it once.
But the injectable DMP is for your. It's supposed to be for the muscle.
Yeah, you could do it sub-Q, but it started staining my skin. It looked like I had like shit in my skin. So
yeah, yellow. It turns yellow.
No, like it would turn black. But yeah, intermuscular.
Wow, I've used a lot of DMP before.
But the phentermine, dude, like for fat chicks, like they prescribe that in the fat loss clinics. The chicks, you do not want to eat on that. Like literally, you go the whole day wanting to just get shit done, and you don't even think about food. You don't want food. It's the weirdest shit. But like in contest prep, it'd be terrible because you couldn't eat. I think I got like 2 to 3 meals in max.
There's a drug, I'm forgetting the name right now, but it's actually not a stimulant that also really curbs the appetite. I can give you the name later. Yeah. It's a very interesting, no bodybuilders know about it. So you'd be the first one, I think, that uses it. Okay, so I wanted to ask you a couple last things. What do you think about Flex Lewis? So first of all, do you think the Olympia is going to happen?
Yeah, but I don't think it'll be as good, though.
So you think it's going to happen? Who do you think is going to win?
In December. Who do I think what?
Who's your pick? Not that we can really know, but
yeah, because we don't even know who's really competing.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say, based on what I know on who's competing, because dude, if Phil Heath comes back or if Kai Greens comes back, this is all changed. But based on who I know that's actually competing, because the Sean Roden case got pushed back, his because of the Corona thing, I'm gonna say Brandon Curry again.
Yeah, I think so too.
If Ramy could hit it with Chad. Maybe if he could hit it with Chad Nichols, maybe because he was close at the Arnold, but he was still off. But I think Brandon, dude, I think they're going to nail down a perfect. They knew he was too full last year, even though he won. He was too full and not as crisp. I think they'll bring the condition. I think Brandon's in a good spot.
But Chad did a really good job with Ramy last time compared to before. I mean,
yeah. Well, no, he only had him once.
No, I mean compared to everybody else.
Yeah.
I think,
I agree. He looked his best with Chad. You know what's funny, dude? Brandon Curry was just at my powerhouse down here in Tampa. I didn't go down there. I don't like that industry stuff, but I watched a little bit of his seminars that he was doing down there on Instagram. It's so funny, man. He's like real talkative and real like inspirational and real like because he's an Olympian now. Because before he was quiet when he was placing 16th. But anyways, I met Brandon Curry at the 2009, dude. LA Fit Expo. It was either the 2009 or 2010 LA Fit Expo. And dude, he was the most quiet guy. And everyone said that about Brandon. You can't get 2 words out of him. He worked with BSN at the time. He was at the BSN booth. He just had won the USAs. And dude, you couldn't get words out of this guy. He would nod his head, oh, thank you, you know. And now he's like, oh, this, you know, he's Olympia. He's like, which is awesome. I think it's awesome.
He's doing his job. That's good. But I was gonna ask you. Jerry Branham was on Generation Iron recently, and he was saying that Flex Lewis has a perfect body, or not a perfect, but a complete body. But he thinks he can't win the Miss World because he's short. But this is the thing. Isn't Brandon Curry like 5'6", and also
Brandon's like 5'7", 5'8", yeah.
You think they're taller than Flex?
Oh, for sure, 100%, yeah.
Well, how tall is Flex?
Flex is 5'3.5".
Okay. Yeah. I totally
He's
missed
5'3.5" or 5'4" max.
Oh, so he is smaller.
Yes, way small.
So you don't think he has a chance then?
No way, man. He doesn't have a back lat spread. He doesn't have low lats.
Yeah, I noticed that. His back is slightly weak.
He's going to get killed from the back, dude.
Very interesting. And I wanted to ask you a couple of more things. One last thing, because we took a little bit longer than I planned, so I still have many questions. So hopefully you come on again in 3 months or so. And we can check in. You're very nice. Thank you so much. So I want to ask you one last thing. So this is something you talk about often, but I don't have as much experience with it as you do because you have so many different kinds of clients and they're bodybuilding clients, and you see how people respond to androgens. You talk about how African Americans respond usually much better to androgens. How do you notice how Asians or Indians respond? Do you notice a difference?
Dude, I have a few Indian clients, man.
Yeah, that's what I want to ask you about.
I have a few Indian clients, and I have to question if their gear is real. I have to question if they're not following the diet. I don't know if those 2 clients or 3 clients that I've had are just not responders or if they're cheating on their diet. So the Indians that I've had are bad at responding. Like either they're not following the diet or they're just not responding. I don't know.
Yeah, I noticed that also.
I don't know, man. It's weird, man. It's weird with the Indians. And they almost look natural.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, right. So I noticed that the top Indian bodybuilder, the thing about India is when you become like a well-known bodybuilder, you just have to be muscular. You get a huge Instagram following because the country is so big. Yeah. So there are some guys with huge followings, but I noticed that the look they have is a guy using Tren year-round at a high dose. Very round muscles, everything maxed out, but not that big. So I was thinking that they have some of the least responding genetics to anabolics.
Yeah, I don't know if my guys are actually from India. They're just of Indian descent. Their names are super Indian. You know what I mean? And they look Indian.
Thought I was Indian.
Yeah. They're American.
But who is Persian that had good genetics, really?
I don't know. Do you remember that guy, Abbas Khatami?
Yes.
He had good legs. He didn't have any upper body.
But King Kamali didn't have very good genetics.
Yeah, he was shit, dude. I don't know. He was he was big, but he was just, I don't know.
I mean, he has small arms.
So we could say for the majority of them, but some of those guys in Iran on Instagram look crazy.
They do, but that's because they have really good gear. They're from Iran, and they abuse the hell out of it.
Yeah.
And also,
but it's weird. When they get on stage, they don't look good. It's like they only look good in the gym.
It's interesting, right?
Yeah.
But who have good genetics?
You would think they would be on the Mr. Olympia stage with how they look.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. It's Egyptians who have really good genetics. Like if you look at Rami, look at Nasser, and Egyptians, because they're really mixed. They have a lot of different kinds of ethnicity. Anyway, I don't want to bore you guys.
I would say Indian and Hispanic have the worst.
Oh, Hispanic have difficulty too?
From my experience.
I would think that East Asians also would have difficulty.
Who do you know that's a good Hispanic bodybuilder?
That's true. There are very few, huh? There's only one I can think of, and he's,
It's rare, dude.
It's true. See, that's how much genetics matter in bodybuilding.
Yeah, man.
It's so much your inheritance and what you have. It's not about what you take even. At the end of the day, we're all limited. And that's why it doesn't make the best sense to go and take advice from the biggest guy because he may not know.
I always tell people, man, with all this Black Lives Matter stuff going around, I'm not going to say too much, but yeah, you can't go with a guy who had it easy. If a guy got big and shredded and it wasn't easy for him, he's not going to know what to do with your body. You have to go to somebody like a Dave Palumbo or someone who had a marathon body and had to eat his ass off to get big and then had to diet his ass off to get shredded. I like using guys like Dave Palumbo because he obviously he had really ugly shape because, you know, genetics, and he blew his waist out and shit, but he did not have good genetics, dude. You know,
and he maxed out. He really did it.
300-pound lean bodybuilder with shitty genetics. Like,
He became what?
Now, you see him now. Naturally, he's like 100. He's like 170 pounds.
No, he became what Dante Trudel says he did.
Yeah.
You know, Dante's like, I was really skinny and I got huge. Well, Dave actually did that.
But Dante was fat.
No. If you see earlier pictures of him, he posted them sometimes. He was really skinny. Now he's fat.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Now he's fat, big.
Yeah, but I've never seen him big and lean ever.
No. He's big and fat, but he was skinny and fat, or maybe skinny. Yeah, he was.
With his little fucking, like you said, with his real roll-up sleeves.
Roll-up sleeve from LA County Jail. Yeah.
Look how fucking big this part of my forearm is.
Or he does the tricep shot from the side. Yeah. Or he does this kind of like ab through the shirt thing.
Dude, I'm surprised so many more people don't see through his shit, dude.
No, they don't. I've actually had guests on the show who take advice from Dante, and they're like, you know, I really respect
I can't believe they don't see that how phony that guy is.
It's very obvious. You're very good at picking out phoniness.
Dude, he's one of the worst. I'm like, people listen to this guy?
I wish you were on YouTube more. I'd be watching your videos all the time.
Like, it reminds me of the people who like listen to the personal trainers at like LA Fitness that are like fat, but because they read like an NASM book, they think they know everything. Dude, every time I see like a fat trainer at LA Fitness or like a chain gym that are like telling people like who are in better shape than them, like get on there and do push-ups. And you need to do this and do that. I automatically think about Dante Trudel.
I was seeing one of these fat guys in my gym the other day. He's a huge trainer, fat, obese actually, and he's like telling all these women what to do.
Dude. That's Dante.
Right, that's a good ending note.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you, Bostin, so much for coming on. I really love talking to you. I can't wait for next time.
We'll do it again, man. Well, after I do my follistatin experiment, and I'll experiment with maybe. What I'll do is I'll get that blood pressure medication that you talked about, and then I'll also do the Ramipril, not together.
Yeah.
I won't take them together, but you probably can take them together. Probably could, right?
Well, yeah, but I don't think you should.
I won't. What I'll do is I'll run yours for about 6 weeks, and then I'll do the Ramipril for 6 weeks and see what either one, what I feel best on, and two, what helps my numbers.
That's important.
You could switch off medications, right?
Absolutely. They're just vasodilators. They don't have a country. Listen, I'll text you about it tomorrow. I'll send you all this stuff tomorrow and make sure that.
Text me the name of the one without the hydrochloric, because I want to add my own hydrochloric. Because sometimes if
that's what I would do if I was you. I would don't just take what they give you.
Yeah, because honestly, 12.5 might be too much on some days. Because hey, if I'm not eating a high sodium diet on a certain day, I don't want to be taking that.
That's what I would do. And that's what I started doing. I separated them myself.
Yeah. So it's smart. Like I was thinking like, all right, well, if I have a cheat meal or a high sodium meal, then I'll do a little bit of more hydrochloric. But hey, if my diet's clean for weeks, I don't want to be adding that.
This is going to matter so much to your health. Honestly, I really think it's a great idea. I'm going to try to convince you about the statin also.
Yeah. Let me know. Oh, I'm going to research it. Give me the name of it. I'll research it.
I will. All right. Thank you so much, Monte.